Yo, 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 what is up, everybody? Chris here from Fake Sports News, X Rotation, however the flip you know me on these interwebs. And today I'm going to be bringing you guys a quick recap of what happened during our Minor 2 tournament being hosted by, of course, Optic, Texas. As you guys can see, we kicked things off with LAT taking on the Miami Heretics. As you guys can see, I thought it would be a 3-2 in favor of the boys from LA, and indeed it went in their favor. So let's look at the stats real quick. All right, now we got them pulled up. Kismet, the Bulldog, was the match MVP, much to the surprise of really nobody. It was really him or Linz that you could give MVP to. Linz had a more positive KD, but it just felt like Kismet was more impactful on the map in crucial moments. So, looking at the map one, of course, Miami Heretics, they came out hot on really one of their stronger hardpoint maps on the season, that of course being hardpoint on Skyline. And yeah, they came out really hot behind a strong performance from Metals and Real. Of course, Real dropped to 1.4 and Metals dropped to 1.3, so great showing from them. On the LAG side, you had your usual performance from the SMGs. Kismet and Linz, they always do pretty well on Skyline. And yeah, they did well here, but Lunars and Priesta couldn't keep up. 18-29 and 17-25 respectfully, and yeah, that's the difference maker there. Looking at the Protocol S&D, that of course being our map 2, we had on the Miami side Lucky being the standout with 7 kills, and then on the LAG side, everybody looked good. Yeah, across the board they just looked solid. Priesta was a standout with 9, and Linz was right there with him with 8. So looking at the map 3, we had Vault Control, and looking at it, the only standout that we had on the Miami side was Real, who dropped 31 and 23, which is pretty commendable. And then on the LAG side, you of course had Lunars going absolutely nuts, dropping 31 and 24 to help bring his boys over the finish line. Then in the map 4, you had a 250 to 146 dominant scoreline in favor of the Miami Heretics. 25 and 19 from Metals, 27 and 18 from Real, and 37 and 19 from Rancor. Yeah, that'll just about get it done. Where on the other side, you got Lunars 15 and 22, Priesta 17 and 23, Linz 20 and 28, and Kismet 24 and 29. In the Game 5 S&D, we had a 6-4 in favor of the LAG boys. Pretty dominant from them. Lunars dropped 9 and 5, Linz 9 and 5, Priesta 8 and 4, and Kiz 6 and 7. And then on the Miami Heretic side, Real was the only one to put up a fight, going 9 and 8. So yeah, that's how they sent Miami home. You guys know I was expecting this one to be a pretty strong LAG win, so that was a pretty fun one. In our next series of the weekend, we had the Optic Texas boys taking on the Vegas Falcons, and as you guys can see, I thought it would be a 3-1 in favor of the Green Wall. I thought they would get a slight get back, and indeed get back was indeed got here. Not going to go super in depth. This was a great series, but not one to really break down too far in depth. The Falcons are not on the verge of a breakout. They're not on the precipice of anything interesting. More of the same. Looking at the series, Pred, of course, was our match MVP, as you guys can see. Great for AG. Of course, he's coming back, and, he's looking a little bit better. So, looking at the map 1, we had a Skyline. Hardpoint, as you guys know. Falcons love to play Skyline, so didn't really change anything up. So, looking at it, Pred was the only standout on the Optic side with 28 and 23. And then on the Falcon side, they were all pretty much shooting pretty well. Axon had 28 and 22, King had 27 and 24, Dahum had 24 and 20. They were all shooting really well. It was just, like I said last week, Falcons at the end of the game, late game moments, they just don't know what to do. Map 2, more of the same. Falcons performed pretty well decidedly, but late game situations in the round 11 did not know what to do, and that was the difference maker there. In the Vault Control, Optic did not know what to do conversely, and that's why they got blown out 3-0. The only person who shot back consistently, well, Dashy and Pred, they were the only people who shoot back consistently on Optic. Tough one for Kenny and Shotzi, just uncharacteristic for those two. And then on the Falcon side, King 25 and 18, he had a monster map. Wixel 18 and 16, very great support from him, and Dahum 21 and 20. So they all did their thing, and that's why they got the control 3-0. They just applied a lot of pressure, and yeah, they closed it out. Then speaking of closeout, Optic closed it out with a get back from Kenny and Shotzi. Shotzi 26 and 15, Kenny 29 and 19. Everybody went positive on Optic, and everybody on Falcons, with the exception of King, went negative. Yeah, 250, 102. Optic just rebounded as we expected them to in the fourth map. And then in our next series, we had the Vancouver Surge taking on the Boston Breach. Speaking of rebounds, you guys know I was expecting it to go 3-1 in favor of the Vancouver Surge, as you can see here. Very big fan of the Neptune cheese, honeymoon cheese for the Vancouver Surge. Big believer in this team. Looking at the series, Nasty was our MVP, and of course, you guys can see he was just frying 94 and 78. Yeah, 1.2 series standout across the board. And then looking at map 1, you can see everybody on the Boston Breach got tucked to bed to start things off. It was 250 to 113. The only person who had a solid KD was Awakening. And then on the Vancouver side, Abuza 32 and 20, Nep 28 and 19. Yeah, I mean, they were just cooking. Map 2, Skyline S&D. It was a dominant one in favor of the Breach. They took it 6-4 behind a really strong performance from Snoopy and Purge, the SMG duo. They did their thing here, and Snoop dropped 10, Purge dropped 9. And then on the other side, Nasty was the only one who really put up a super strong effort. He dropped 9 for the Surge, but wasn't good enough. Map 3, Vault Control, went down to a round 5, where the Surge walked away with it. On the Boston side, Snoopy dropped 37. Wow, he had a monster game. And Purge dropped 33, so he's right there with him. But Wake dropped 15 and Cammy dropped 23. So, yeah, that was a difference maker there. And then on the Surge side, everybody did their part. 04 was 33 and 28, Abuza 30 and 26, Nasty 28 and 24, and Neptune 32 and 30. So they took that Vault momentum and chained it into the Vault map 4, where they closed things out behind a strong performance from Nasty, who went 37 and 24. Everybody else on the Surge side played pretty solid, but they were negative. Booza 28 and 30, Neptune 29 and 33, so they were close to even, but yeah, I mean, they were getting tucked for sure. Now on the Breach side, Awakening 34 and 26, Purge 32 and 20, and Snoopy 31 and 31, excuse me. So they did their thing, but just wasn't enough in a really close game that came down to the wire. So looking at our last match of the day, we had the Minnesota Rokkr taking on Cloud9. You guys know I thought it would be a 3-2 in favor of the Cloud9 New York boys. I thought just with the recent form, they'd be a little bit better than Minnesota, even though I think Minnesota is a better team overall. And looking at the series, we of course had our series MVP is none other than Sib. The man was frying for the New York side. He was the only one who really stood out. He had 94 kills. And looking at it, we had a bang out map 1, 250 to 241 in favor of Cloud9 New York. They started off really hot here behind a strong performance from Sib, who dropped 33 and 29. And then on the opposite side, Nero dropped 39 for the L, so that's a tough one. But we moved on to map 2, Hacienda, where it got a little bit tougher because the Rokkr brought it to a round 11, but Cloud9 was able to walk away with it behind a 10-kill performance from Kremp and a 9-kill performance to boot from Mac. And then on the opposite side, you had Geo dropping 11, but no one else was even close from Rokkr to support him, so that's the difference maker there. In our map 3 control, we had our protocol control, and yeah, Astro was a standout here from the Rokkr side. He's the reason why they were able to get it done. He dropped 28 and 14 in 3 rounds. And on the other side, the next highest person was attached with 20. So looking at the map 4, where Rokkr forced the game 5, they were able to win it behind a strong performance from who else but Geo. He dropped 35 and 26. The Rokkr win at 250 to 214 to take us to a game 5, where Cloud9 win it 6-2 behind a strong performance from Kremp and Sib. Those two were just tucking. They said, good night, everybody. It's time to go to bed. And yeah, they did their thing, and that's how Cloud9 got it done in the game 5. As you guys can see, I went absolutely perfect on Friday. 4 for 4 with absolute perfect maps. So I stopped doing my dollar behind my predictions thing every week, but yeah, this is one week it would have hit. So yikes. So looking at our next series, we of course kick things off with the Carolina Royal Ravens taking on LAG. You guys can see I thought it would be a 3-2, but it was a 3-0 in favor of the Carolina Royal Ravens. They were just a step ahead, not going to get too deep into this one. The red card, well, let's get into the series first. So Slasher was series MVP. He, as you guys can see, had a 1.35 clear standout for the Ravens. Map 1, we started off 250 to 202 in favor of the Royal Ravens behind a 35 bomb from TJ and a 31 on the side of Kismet to try to match, but not good enough. In the map 2 S&D on red card, we of course had a 6-3 in favor of the Ravens. They ran it back on red card again, and they won again. So Slasher and Tej, they dropped 9 each, and Kismet dropped 12, but it wasn't good enough to get it done. Looking at the Hacienda control, the Ravens closed out pretty decisively with a 3-1 here behind a 31 kill game from Vivid and a 28 kill attempt from Linz to boot, but just not good enough. Yeah, the Ravens just had all kinds of pressure on the map, and they were just a step ahead, clearly. Yeah, so looking at our next series, we of course have my home team, Atlanta Faze, taking on the Vancouver Surge. As you guys can see, I was expecting it to be a 3-1 in favor of in favor of Faze. Sorry, I'm like fighting off the flu, so I'm recording this video in parts. Gonna try to keep this pretty quick. I'm not feeling great. So, yeah, it was a 3-2 in favor of the Surge. You guys can see I thought it'd be a 3-1. Let's look at the series and break things down. MVP was who else but Nasty, who's been playing very nasty as of late. The guy had a 1.31 in hardpoint, 1.6 in S&D, and a 1.05 in control. Absolutely fried. Dropped to 1.3 and had a great day. Looking at map 1, Vault came down to time once again for Faze, and they were able to take it 241 to 202. They started off very hot behind great performances from Simp and Celium. Cell dropped 36, Simp dropped 34. And then on the Vancouver side, Nep dropped 42 and Nasty dropped 32, but wasn't enough to get the job done. Map 2, Skyline S&D. Simp dropped 13, but it was not enough to get it done. As Nasty and Nep, the duo dropped 24 to follow up their map 1 performance. In the map 3 on protocol control, we of course had Faze getting a hot 3-0. Everybody went positive, and yeah, I mean, that was the difference there, is a 3-0. In the map 4 Hacienda Hardpoint, the Surges came out really hot, and yeah, they just absolutely waxed them. Nasty dropped to 1.4, Nep 1.09, and yeah, Faze, they just, I don't know, their Hacienda Hardpoint is very questionable. And then in the game 5, the Surge were able to chain that momentum and get it done in the game 5. Simp and S&D once again, he did pretty well, but everybody else was just not there with him, except for BZ, he dropped 7. And then on the Surge side, 04 dropped 12 and Nasty dropped 10, and that's all she wrote. So Surge, they have now beaten Faze twice online, back-to-back times. Yeah, so they look pretty decent online. We'll see how they do on LAN. Looking at our next series, speaking of teams that need to get to LAN for real fraud checks, we have Ultra taking on Optic Texas. Ultra got the 3-0 here. You guys can see I thought it would be a 3-1 in their favor. So I'm not going to go too in depth. I mean, Ultra smoked them. 250, 124 on Skyline, 6-2 and 3-2. It was a closer series in the scorelines than it actually was visually. Looking at it, you guys can see Joe dropped 30, Beans dropped 28, and everybody on Optic was in the red. Map 2, round 11, Joe dropped 12, Inside dropped 9, Kleenex dropped 8, Dashy dropped 12, and everybody else on Optic wasn't even close. Then map 3, Vault Control, you guys can see Insight 38, Beans and Joe 35, and everybody on Optic except for Dashy and Pred was getting cooked. Dashy had 40, Pred at 36, and you know, the other two on Optic were on 25 and 26. So yeah, that's how the 3-0 came about. Not a lot to write home about there. And then in our next series, you guys can see I thought it would be LA Thieves taking on Cloud9. I thought it would be a 3-2 in favor of the Thieves. I thought Cloud9, they looked pretty good, but I felt like they had pushed the Thieves and they could win 2 maps. Looking at the series overview, Hydra was our MVP. Yeah, his stats were pretty good. He had a 1.3 on the series. And then looking at map 1, we of course kicked things off with a 250 to 184 in favor of the C9 boys. Hydra dropped 34, but it was not enough to get it done on their end. Ghosty was 17 and 32, so that's where the bottleneck came in. And on the Cloud9 side, Crump was 32 and 27, and everybody else put up an even effort. Sip 31 and 27, and so on and so forth. So looking at map 2, we had a LA Thieves victory, 6-3 on Volt. So they were able to take it behind a strong performance from Envoy, who went 8 and 5. And then on the Cloud9 side, you had Kremp and Attach both on 8, but wasn't good enough to get it done. In the map 3 on Vault Control, the LA Thieves got a hot 3-0. Envoy was 22 and 14, Hydra 26 and 14, and Scrap 22 and 19 as the 3 standouts. That's where they chained it into a map 4 dub, where they got a Hacienda 250 to 109 victory over the C9 boys to send them home from the minor disappointed. And Ghosty went 21 and 12, Envoy 22 and 15, Hydra 24 and 20, and Scrap 27 and 16. So yeah, they had a great showing here, and they got it done pretty quickly and decisively. Looking at our next matchup, we had the LA Thieves taking on the Carolina Royal Ravens. As you guys can see, it was a 3-0 in favor of the LA Thieves. It wasn't competitive at all. I'm not going to go too far in depth on this one. So yeah, 250 to 165. Oh, yeah, Envoy was a series MVP. Let's see. He had a 1.2, so nothing insane. Yeah, so looking at the map 1, Vault Hardpoint was 250 to 165 in favor of the Thieves. Envoy went 30 and 26, Hydra 31 and 26, and that's pretty much it. Slash on the other side, 31 and 29 was a standout. And then on map 2, LA Thieves ran it back. Behind 12 from Scrap, they got it done on Hacienda S&D. And then on the other side, Gwen had 10, but not enough to get it done. in the round 11. And then in the Hacienda Control, the LA Thieves just closed out with a hot 3-0 behind 21-14 from Envoy. So pretty quick one from them. Very decisive. There was no question who was a better team there. Speaking of decisive, no question who's a better team. Let's look at the semifinals where we had the Vancouver Surge taking on the Toronto Ultra, the battle for Canada. You guys can see I thought it'd be Faze versus Ultra. But yeah, it was a 3-0 for Surge over Ultra. So let's look at it real quick. The match MVP, who else but Neptune? He had a 1.3. And looking at it, they started off hot, 250 to 226 on Vault Hardpoint, behind a strong performance from Nasty and Neptune, of course. Neptune was 39 and 29, Nasty 32 and 28. And then on the Ultra side, Kleenex was 37 and 34, and Insight was 31 and 31, but not enough to get it done. In the map 2 protocol S&D, of course, the Surge were able to chain their momentum, going up 6-4 in the protocol to win it. Neptune dropped 10, and on the other side, you of course had Insight and Josephs with 9, not enough to get it done. In the map 3, Surge closed out to book a ticket to the grand final with a strong performance from 04 and Neptune, the SMG duo. Neptune dropped 24 and 18, 04 dropped 22 and 15, and that's how they got it done, and sent Ultra home. So looking at our last series of the weekend, you guys can see I expected my home team Atlanta Faze to make it to the grand finals to face the LA Thieves, but as you guys can clearly see, the LA Thieves went up against the Vancouver Surge in the finals, and it was a 4-3 in favor of the Thieves. They ran it all the way up. And who was the series MVP other than Hydra? Looking at his stats, he of course had a 1.19. He was standing out across the lobby. And yeah, let's get into all 7 of these maps. So kicking things off, we have the Vancouver Surge taking the upper hand with a 250 to 187 on Hacienda Hardpoint. So they came out really hot and said said to everybody, hey, who doesn't have a chance of winning this grand finals? We definitely have a chance of winning it, and we're going to go up 1-0 to prove that. Map 2, they kept the momentum going, and they pushed it to around 11, but the Thieves were able to take it with a 6-5 victory behind strong performances from everybody across the board. In this lobby, pretty much everybody was performing the whole series, so yeah, no one really got tucked, quote unquote. Some people had rough games, but no one was like 2 and 10, from what I can recall. Looking at map 3, it was a blowout from the LA Thieves. They got a 3-0 on Vault Control, one of their better controls, and they're the best control team in the game right now, so not really too surprising. Envoy went 33 and 17. He was doing whatever he wanted, and yeah, Surge just had a rough map. But on map 4, Vault Hardpoint, the Surge got their get back. They tied it up 2-2 behind a strong performance from everybody. Yeah, it was just an even effort across the board. And then on the Thieves side, Scrap and Hydra, that duo, they dropped 36 and 41, but they couldn't get it done. Then the map 5, the Surge were able to take the upper hand, winning the red card S&D 6-4 behind 2 10 bombs from 04 and Abuza, the duo from last year. And they chained that into the map 6, Hacienda Control, where the LA Thieves were able to get their get back, getting a 3-0 victory in this control behind a 21-12 from Hydra. And then in the game 7, we went to Skyline to run it back. The LA Thieves were able to redeem themselves. They got a game 7 victory finally, and this one didn't go down to round 11. It only went to round 9. Envoy was 12 and 6, and everybody on Surge had a rough game. So yeah, that's how we got it done. And yeah, that's Minor 2. It was a fun tournament. Hope you guys enjoyed if you watched. If you didn't, I watch partied up until Sunday where I got sick. And yeah, it was a fun one. So if you missed it, be sure to join the Discord down below for more prize picks coming up this week. And be sure to, of course, join the Discord to get pinged when I go live for watch parties and all that. And yeah, catch you guys in the next one. Don't forget to check out prize picks in the Discord if you haven't joined already. Or to like, comment, subscribe on this video if you haven't already. And yeah, I'll catch you guys on the next one. Once again, this is Chris from Faze. So as soon as your axe rotation, I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.